Welcome to the Knowledge Sharing Series by the MGK Foundation. Today we are privileged to be speaking to Monica Wareham, a serial entrepreneur. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much for having me. Serial because I have these tendencies to get into so many businesses. Some I came out with money, some with lessons, but I'm running more than one business, so hence the serial.
Okay. How long have you been running businesses, Monica?
If I put it in the number of years, they would seem so many, but the number of ventures again would seem so many, but for quite a while. You could put it as maybe 25 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
And when I say 25 is when I decided I want to buy and sell this, I want to do this and that, so yeah.
So how did you start getting into business?
Okay, let me think about my first venture. I found someone selling something. From where they were selling it, I knew other people who wanted them, so I would ask, can I get a dozen? I go sell, come back. That would be what I would call a start. But I went into so many businesses, so every business I've started it in a different way.
I know we were talking earlier and you were telling me that you actually went into business while you were still in employment. Maybe you can help us understand what drove you at that point in time, even with a full-time job, to get into business? And what are some of the lessons you learned out of that experience?
I don't know whether this is in my blood, but I'm raised by an entrepreneur, and I've always been very interested in business, whether it's reading about it, knowing how people make money and all that. So for me, from the onset, and I think even now, it's never been about the profits. It's about making things work. Like I've found a problem, there's a solution to it. And that has been how I've been. I'm very good in networking, so I'm always looking at what are you doing? I know other people who can help you with that. So I would possibly say that it's just been solution finding for people and even for myself. And I tend to keep friends with people who are also in business. So that is almost a thing that comes out of my mouth very easily.
And how did that balance with your employment time? Did you have to spend extra time doing your business? And how did that work out?
So I would always say, and I remember giving this talk one time, is that I have an 8 to 5 and a 5 to 8. Yeah. So what I would do is at any time when I'm done with my day, then I would now pick up to wear. So I would wear the different hat at different times. Of course, working where I worked at the time, there was hardly any time to be present anywhere else. So I got into ventures that were easy to get into, that didn't require me on present at that particular time. So for me it was easy, and I'm the sort of person who is, my nature is that I'm always active. I'm always up to something. I really can't sit still. So the extra time would be very easily spent just creating business ideas and all that. You know,
it's not every person who would say they have enough time in their day to do anything extra. We're always struggling to find, those extra 2 hours to do something, but you seem to have managed it well.
There are 24 hours. And
yes.
You take away the 8 you employed,
yes,
and the 8 you sleep. There's still another 8.
8 hours.
Yes. It just depends on how you choose to use them. And I think for me, if you're passion driven, it never matters. Yeah, it's your passion that just drives you and pushes you out. Yeah, and you feel, so for me, sleeping at 1 a.m. because I'm working on a proposal is something very easy to think about. For me, for going to go out for a party, like this has to work, and just, your own creation, thinking, this has to appear nice on the other end, such that even if I went to that party, I know I would be thinking about this. So let me do this and then, try and, manage time. But yeah, it's a big problem for a lot of people who are getting into business. Yeah, but I think passion drives you. Yeah.
What ultimately drove you out of employment to go and focus on business full time?
Business is like a baby, It's like when you're pregnant with it, it's in your body, it's in you, and you birth it, then you nurture it to grow. So within that whole process, think about handing it over to somebody. So a lot of the difficulties I was having is because I was not present. So as a result of that, I could see what I'm losing in not being present. And of course, a lot of people stay in employment for various reasons. For me, it was pretty fear, because I'm looking at my bills. Without this salary, I can't manage. So I'm thinking, in order to get out of, in order to increase my income, let me get out. But then again, I'm not actually managing to solve that problem because I'm not present. Yeah. And I remember one entrepreneur telling me, if you're putting in 2 hours in a day to grow your side business, so expect it to grow
2%.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. Rate.
And that person, and I keep reminding him, that really hit somewhere in my head, and I said, let me try, let me get out and do it. Yeah, but there are so many people who've challenged me along the way, And this is what I think about staff. Like when I was trying to learn how to drive, and it was so difficult. I'm like, all these people, all these women on the road learned how to drive. They started from here. So if they made it, I can make it. Yeah. So looking at all these businesses, from the biggest to the smallest, they were all started by someone. So why can't I be that someone?
So what are some of the businesses you have, gotten into over the years?
To just answer your question, right now, currently, the businesses I'm running a HR firm. The HR firm does recruitment, training, outsourcing, consultancies in HR, performance management. We assist organizations structure their businesses in terms of HR, if I was to put it in a nutshell. One of my oldest business, and the business that have actually been keeping me, even, enabled me to have the courage to leave employment, was M-Pesa, M-Pesa agency, which has been running for more than 10 years. I'm also a partner in Safaricom on various products. One of them is Skiza for business and Skiza for individuals. Doing bulk SMSs and corporate ringtones and all that. I also run a platform which is pretty new, pretty actually not known by most. It's called MJobo. MJobo is a facility where we assist job seekers to have one-stop shop for jobs. So what we do, we have employers sending us jobs. We have recruitment agencies sending us jobs, then we broadcast them on SMS. And because the characters in an SMS are limited, you get just a few top jobs, and then you go to the website to see more jobs for a day. So it runs for as 5 shillings and 50 cents. And that's a platform I'm actually very passionate about. And I want to think about it this way. I think that idea came from people, because having been in human resource over time and now running a HR firm, most people know me for, if you want a job, call Monica. If you want a job, call Monica. So I would get that. And I'm like, I don't have all jobs. There are so many other jobs, but people don't know where to find jobs. I went into partnership with a developer, and we were able to come up with this new product, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, and of course, real estate and other businesses that are somewhere between thought and being actualized. Yeah.
And what are some of the lessons you learned, getting to where you got to with some of the businesses that did not succeed? You started and did not succeed. What are some of the lessons you picked up that you are able to bring into your current businesses that have helped you be able to grow?
There's so many mistakes I've made, some involving, how I raised the capital to start, how I started, decisions on even where to rent. I remember being thrown out of a building, and I was being thrown out not because I didn't pay rent, because I sublet. And I didn't know what to do because this person didn't pay rent, and all those mistakes that I've made over time. So I started by saying I like business. I want to understand, what do you do? How does that work? I follow business leaders, and I listen to so many things. So right now, that's what I do. Before, I would see an idea, and immediately run to register a company, come up with a business company profile, not a business plan, a company profile, without so much research. And then I didn't surround myself then with people who could help me, mold my thoughts. Because someone excited about business is a very dangerous person, because you're always on to the next thing. And sometimes you would start something that could actually grow, and if you focus on it, it could actually grow very well. But when you're always thinking about business or other business ventures, you spend a lot of time wasting your time with so many, instead of growing one and then move to the next. So I would say the challenges that I had then is I didn't have mentorship. I didn't have being in employment, having people friends who are in employment, or not in employment at all. I didn't have people to mold or guide me into what I would do. Today, I'm the expert. You ask me about a business, I will sit you down. 2 hours later, we have structured everything. Like, what do you need to look out for? Is it even a good idea in the first place? And I have today people I would call and say, this is what I'm thinking about. And about 5 of them would say it's a good idea, and 5 would say is a bad idea. I would still pursue it. But if out of 10, 2 are telling me go with it, and the majority are, then I know that I need to be that I need to worry about that.
So the value of mentorship and research, I think, are the 2 critical things you've talked about. How did you manage to raise capital for all these businesses as you went along? Because you've been there a while.
I would wait for my salary and put it all in business. Yeah. Anyway, but I funded myself, I would say, and all the businesses started small, and it was just one after another. But mainly, the initial ventures were from just the income I was earning.
And have you gone into ventures which have required you then to seek capital outside, for example, from bank loans or from bringing in partners or even from, selling shares in the
My
company
shares
to other
for the
people?
company. I would say this, and when the issue of SME financing comes up, I don't know whether I'm not the one who doesn't understand it, but I hear banks and microfinance talking about SME, but I don't see that happening. Yeah, because when you're a startup, the requirements they need from you are too many. And the other thing I wish they would do, in fact, this is just the one message I would wish they would have, is come, spend some time with me to understand where this idea is coming from. So as I'm actually trying to tell you this can work, you can see it can work. They are so focused on policies, on their procedures internally, that they don't see a need to even change a little bit to look at a business and see whether this is a business they can grow together with the SME. So I tried in the beginning and I failed. And yeah, I forgot to mention one of the ventures was supply, general supplies. And whenever you'd even have an order, you'd go to them and say, look, I need your help. And then they would be asking you for titles. And I'm like, this order, as you can read, it says deliver in 7 days. By the time we're doing, all the process, I really can't supply. Yeah, and I want to be, because there are certain things they can do, like even commit the payment through the bank so that you can be able to pay them back. Because I also know that they have burnt their fingers over time, trusting people who have come and said this business will work, and they fund them and the money goes. So I think they need to foster a partnership, and they need to work with relationship managers who are actually relationship managers. Just come and understand me. Yeah. But don't wait for me to bring you all this documentation, spend a few minutes telling me this will work. Yeah. So it's just, they need to venture into business, to your business, to understand and see the risks that they are assessing from their desks. Yeah.
Tell us about the ventures you have gone into with other parties, and what are the lessons you learned from there? What are the lessons you picked up from going into partnership?
Those are perhaps the biggest lessons, because I think even today my wounds are still, my wounds are still open. Partnerships, for me, the approach I would have, any advice I would give somebody, if you're going to any partnership with anybody, you need to have common values. Yeah. Common work ethics, your drive has to be the same. Because I will tell you the challenges I would have is that we are babbling about this idea, we've done research, we've done registrations, we are good to go, spend quite some time to get there. But now when it comes to the running of the show, somewhere along the way, someone drops off. So you're left there hanging and wondering what to do. So the element of business development, the element of resilience, the element of hard work, like if it can be matched, then that's good. And then honesty and integrity. Yeah, so I've had to now know, I've been approached to join ventures, but I have a huge checklist before I allow anyone to do business with me. However, there are those there's one actually that is working very well, and it's working very well because we have common values. So if we agree that we've received a request for proposal at 4 p.m., it's very clear. Nobody needs to tell the other anything. We are working late. And yeah, we are both working late. Yeah, I'm putting it as much as you're putting it. Yeah. So the lessons for me is, unless, and I would say this, it's not even about the relationship you keep outside. When you come to the table and you're doing business, it's business. Yeah. So I can be understanding of you, but at the end of the day, you have to also be understanding of me.
So friends don't necessarily make the best business partners?
I wouldn't say that, because if they have, again, they have the same values you have, then it can work. Yeah, it still can work. But of course, being able to separate the sort of relationships you have. Yeah, like I said, I can be understanding of you, but then again, I'm suffering on this and holding on my own.
Have you always largely worked by yourself? Do you have people you employ to do the business with you? And how do you manage that space? Because you're in the HR space, you know how difficult it is sometimes to hire the right people, get people to buy into your vision and be able to deliver what you need to deliver. So how have you managed that space, especially as an HR practitioner?
As you grow, obviously you have to hire. You definitely have to hire. So for me, once you hire right, there's an element of orienting them into the position. And once you orient them into the position, set clear objectives. This is what needs to be met. I'm the sort of person who would never show up at the office unless I need to, because I know Mary is doing this and this is the output. So she knows this is what she's meant to do. So I won't focus on the fact that Mary has arrived 10 minutes late. No, I'll focus on what's her output, and does she understand? So that's one element. The other element, especially if you want to have productive and motivated staff, is performance management. This is, we set the objectives, yes. We have to monitor the performance of those objectives. Are they being actualized? And if they are not, what do we do? Is it a training issue? Is it a discipline issue, or what is it? And then, of course, being able to reward and reward on bonuses. All my employees are on bonuses. They have their salaries, but they're motivated for more within. So once you train them and you let them do what they need to do, you really don't need to be there. Yeah. You really. I've managed teams that are not even in anywhere in the country, but since they know what needs to be done and it's visible, and the reporting structure is also visible, then you don't need to worry. I don't need to see you. Their employees I have never met. I know what they are doing. I speak to them on the phone and all that. So yeah. So for me, setting objectives, clear objectives, and monitoring, because the minute I hire you and I tell you this is what you need to do, and you notice I never check in on you, are you actually doing this? It's the likelihood of you not doing it is high. But if I know I have certain review periods and I know my output is pegged on a timeline, then it's up to me to actually make sure that that happens. But if I don't check, so performance reviews are very, very consistent. Performance reviews are very important. Yeah, so they know what you had them to do. They are skilled to do it. You're monitoring performance and you're rewarding.
And since we are talking about financial management at the MGK Foundation, perhaps we could then talk about how has that experience been for you from when you started, and how have you managed to build businesses that can continue to run while you're not there? You know, most of the time you don't have to go into the office, and make sure that your finances are properly managed. What have you invested in that space as an entrepreneur?
Of course, when you set up, you have everything, you know, and there's almost no funds to support systems and all that. I come from an environment of being highly structured. So for me, I want things to run. I want, at the touch of a button, I know what's happening on this end, what's happening on that end. Be that is me, that sometimes being able to afford becomes an issue. Right now, before I didn't have an accountant, now I have accountants. I did not have audit, now I'm having audit done. I'm not an expert in finance. In fact, it's the one area that I need help. Yes. And even when you decide I want to go and open another office, or I want to get into another venture, ideally I should sit down with someone and say, this is how my finances look like. Is it time? Is it a good time to do that? And I wouldn't do that. I go with the feeling. So yes, there are things that I've come to learn along the way. And that's also expertise in fields I'm not good at. I'm not good at brand marketing and all that. I can sell. But once that is done, I don't know how to take the business to online platforms. I make attempts, I fail. So I'm now opting to look for experts who can do that. Expert in finance, legal, whatever you need as a business is scaling up. Yeah.
And what benefit has that brought to you as an individual, the founder of the organization, as well as how you run your businesses that you can see compared to when you started? Especially in the financial management space? It's
shaping up, I would say. Like I said in the beginning, mentorship was lacking. So, and I was raised by an entrepreneur who was running shops. So all I needed to do is, we are out of milk, the distributor will bring, we sell, we buy, we keep. Then now we were selling 1 crate, we can sell 2 crates. So that's the scaling up in my mind is. But even being able to know the worth of your business, that is something that, you know, nobody tells you. Yeah, like if you were to even say sell your shares, how would you actually work that out? Definitely, I would still say it's a field that I am not too good at, and it's quite an opportunity for any person who is an expert in that field to go after. Train entrepreneurs about business management, and not just business management, buy, sell, or provide a service and bill, and knowing when to get into new products, when to actually get rid of certain products, how to look at profit margins per line, you know, to determine, do I need to keep this, do I need to do this, so that it doesn't look all fancy, or like if I'm selling 20 items, which one is bringing me the most money and which one is not. Those are analyses that a lot of business people don't do. Yeah. And even just in HR, just to drill that home, is you have a set number of employees. How much is an employee worth? How much revenue is coming from an employee, and how much cost is attached to that? Yeah.
Because those are important numbers to understand. Sometimes we just hire and we don't understand, are they productive, or are we just adding on the numbers because we need an organization?
I know, even office space, how much space do you have? Do you need that much space? Yeah. So a lot of entrepreneurs will go with the emotions, with the feeling that I feel this should happen. I feel like the sales team need this, but you don't break it down to cost per item. Yeah.
You were speaking earlier about the whole issue of research, and when you have a business idea, what you then go to the back end to do before you actually know this is a business I should get into, or even if you get into anyway, that you have the information to be able to do the business appropriately. So in what ways have you done your research? Is it just yourself? Have you hired people to do it for you? How do you gather information around a business to determine what you should do?
Okay, there's obviously the research you do, because the idea came from you. Then there is the people, the experts around you that you'll talk to. Yeah, I keep saying I had board members from a certain point. Whether or not they are paid is another story. But you know that this is an area which touches on this. If, like for instance, when we are going out with MGK, and I'll talk to people who would be the consumers of the product. Like, what do you think about this? If this is an idea that is to come to, and it was easy for me because I'm surrounded by people looking for jobs all the time. So it's easy for me to ask. And even when we are running the pilots, the comments you would get. So that's good research coming from you. So then it's not, yes, you're passion driven, but you want to know this product you're developing it for who. So the consumer on the other end will actually be able to give you feedback. Then of course, just looking at the business environment, the competition, and seeing, is there anyone else who done something similar? Did they succeed? Where did they fail? And because most often you'll find that idea someone else had thought about it. Maybe what you need to do is determine if they failed this way, maybe these are the areas I need to look at. This is a very critical thing, being able to know the consumer. Like when we're talking about financial management, I'm telling you what my needs are. So if you want to help me, then you would know this is something Monica would use because these are the issues she's going into. Yeah. I want to believe even when you're thinking about scaling up, I need to be sitting with experts to tell me. Yeah. Like look through my books and tell me. And I've once had a conversation with someone who's telling me, this can make you more money than it is making you. This service can make you more money, but you're not focusing on it because in your mind you're not seeing it. So just being able to reach out to experts and just ask, what do you think? This is the outlook of everything. These are my thoughts. Yeah, and of course I've always maintained a mentor and a coach over time, because sometimes you need to be controlled, in the way you're thinking.
When you say mentor and coach, sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that concept to understand. I know I need somebody who can help me in my business, but where do I go and what does that person look like? So perhaps maybe you can help us demystify this whole mentor and coach. Is there a place you go, you knock the door and say, I need a mentor, who looks like this and is, and you get, or how does one go around, especially as an entrepreneur, finding that person they can call a mentor or a coach?
I'll actually add one more, accountability partner.
Yes.
Accountability partner are people you tell, this is what I want to do. And they also tell you. So you're each other's accountability partner. And when they tell you, oh, I want to roll out this service, by when? Because you'll have those conversations, by when?
Yes.
And what do you need to do to get there? And that doesn't require any money. We'll get to the level of coach and I'll explain. So once I tell you what I want to do, then you become the person who calls me and asks after you find out how I'm doing, how is the rollout going. So now I know you'll ask. It pushes me to actually get that off my ground. So over time, I've also had accountability partners, people who are, like in the same level of business as I am, not particularly the industry, and would ask each other. So you said this is what you, and I remember having meetings on Saturday mornings over coffee, roll out what you are meant to do in the week, I roll out what I'm meant to do in the week, and we check on each other. So it means if we are meeting on Saturday, I need to have really gotten these things off there. Yeah. And of course you can fire them or they fire you if this conversation is not going anywhere.
So it's an informal relationship.
That's an informal relationship, and I've always maintained that. Then the mentor I've had is someone who knows me very well, understands me very well. And this, again, is not a business arrangement. And the good thing is that they come from a financial background. So they've actually been able to actually stop me when I run too fast, or caution me about some certain decisions I'm making. And what you do is allow me to sit down with him and tell him, these were my plans in the beginning. And he's also highly structured. So he'll tell me, this is how your last quarter was, but this was your projections. Why did you fail? Why did you not meet your objective? And that conversation is so valuable. Yeah, because then you investigate what went wrong, so that when you set objectives for the next quarter, then you know what you need to do. And it got to a point where even hiring, I would have to sit down and justify why I need to hire, justify why I need to bigger offices, justify why I need to travel, why I need to do to spend money. So because they were from that background, they were able to help me with that. And they call me out when they call me out when I either slow down or go too fast. Coach, there is a federation called International Coaching Federation. That's a professional relationship. You can go and get a coach dependent on what you need. They are very valuable because they bring out what you're not able to bring out. And most of them will just be questioning you. Yes. So this is where you started. There's a lot of why, when, and those are, and they listen a lot. And somehow, as you talk, you actually realize the mistakes you're making. And they guide you, and you set parameters of, what you need to do before your next session. So I would say that is so valuable to anybody who is in business. Yeah, because you report to nobody. And if you say, this month I made $500,000, next month I want to make $500,000. I mean, I want to make $1 million, Bob. So then the question is how? How are you doubling your performance within a month? What are you going to do? Then you stop getting excited. You're like, okay, maybe I'll make 600. But how do you do that? So having that structure is very, very important. You can't be lucky to get someone who can provide those sessions for you, but you must also be able to motivate them by actually keeping up. I've always had wanted mentors, and you can have more than one. One in your industry, one just in business and all that. But anybody, literally anybody can mentor you, because it's about you. It's about what you said you're going to do. And again, some of them also motivate you. Yeah, they motivate you. Yeah, and just going a little bit back on the accountability partner, you meet with someone who is also in the struggle, in the field, trying to make a living through business. So you tend to have some comfort in knowing also this is what is failing on. There's this project I was hoping that it would help me meet some of my debts, and it's not. So you encourage each other, and that environment is what helps me thrive.
You seem to have built structure over time, which I think is an admirable thing in an entrepreneur, and maybe that is why you have been in business for so long. 20 plus years is not an easy time to be in business. So what does your typical day look like? Because we meet entrepreneurs every day who say, I need another 24 hours in the day to do what I need to do. What does your day look like? And does it speak to that struggle that everybody is in today?
I would say this, and when I was talking about the number of ventures I've been into, majority failed, and that is the truth. Majority failed, and those lessons were very important. So today, even when you bring me a business idea or I have one, I have certain key questions I have to ask myself. I told you earlier, I have so many registered businesses because what I would do is, I would have a domain name registered, a website is running, company profile, I just go full out to just kick off because I am burning with passion about this. This will work. So today I take time. I have meetings I call myself. I say, look, okay, let's start. These are some of the things. These are the critical. In fact, I remind myself of other ventures that went bust, and they went bust because of this. And I also try to slow down in terms of the number of things I'm doing at a time, because again, you only have 24 hours in a day. So the lessons are helping me now. I would say that I today cannot make the same mistakes I made in the past. Now, coming back to time management, it's all about, and understand that I don't see most of the employees I have employed. Yes. I spend time with you. We agree on your objectives for this position, how the outcome looks like. I'm available for you to call me. When I'm not available, this is what you do. Send me reports on Friday, end of day. I will review, sit down with you. So I'm structured in that way. But then again, in between the day, something will happen. You'll get a call from a customer who will say, I need to see you, or I'm having this challenge. Or someone will actually, an email will pop up, and one business you've been waiting for is finally asking you to send a quotation. So you get excited and you leave everything you are doing and you start focusing on this. So what I do is use a planner. I try the night before to know what I'm doing. In fact, now I think it's even gone to a week. I need to know. Or I can tell you where I'll be Friday morning next week. It's just planning, because I've made also a lot of mistakes just taking in too much and being able to tell someone, I'm not available this afternoon, do you mind if
meet somewhere else?
And I've also stretched the time I work. So anyone giving me a meeting at 7 in the morning, I'm so excited because I know I can take that meeting and still have the rest of the day to do. Yes.
And then why do you come back every day? If your day looks like this, it's unstructured, you don't know, how does that impact your family time, your personal time? And why do you wake up every day and keep doing this to yourself, somebody may ask?
I know, you say, sometimes it sounds like torture. And at any single day, something is bound to go wrong. Yes. There's reasons every day to make you quit. Yeah. But there's also very many reasons to make you push on. Yeah. So I'm driven by I'm excited about starting a thought and it grows into something. So sometimes when I actually walk through the office and see the team that is working for this company that you started from an idea, and it has grown to that is actually supporting families, it's supporting businesses, because we support businesses. In the HR firm, we are supporting in manufacturing industries. We are supporting people in retail, people in pharmaceutical organizations, and all that. So I'm excited every day in that every single day I'm getting into a new business to understand the business and to understand what are their challenges on human resource. So every day I'm learning a new thing. So that's exciting for me, and meeting people. As you can tell, I can chat a lot. So, so just being able to have conversations with people, know something new, something different. But I think mostly is being able to provide solutions to people. Yeah.
And if you had the choice, would you do this again? Would you still go into entrepreneurship, or would you stay in employment?
I would have started earlier.
Really?
I would have started earlier. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone starting a business today in terms of what they should do, how they should go about preparing themselves, and what should they look out for as entrepreneurs?
There's one thing I would promise them.
Yes.
That it will be very challenging.
Yes.
Like you really, really have to be ready for it. A lot of people get into business because either your boss is frustrating you, or you've been fired, or you can't seem to get a job. And you start a business, but you still, 1 year is out. Like, have you heard of openings and all that? I would say if you want to get into business, make that decision. And nobody should make it for you. Nobody should suggest business for you. Not the type, not whether to get into business or not. And once you make that decision, you have to tell yourself there is no other way out. I will struggle with this. I will lower my living standard. I will push until I get what I want, until my dream comes true. Because I see a lot of people who, the minute it gets uncomfortable, they jump out. And then you jump out, then you want to jump back in again. So you see a lot of people spending time starting businesses, they fail, they go, they come back. But if they stayed on this one and pushed, you'll be able to. And even just being able to call, people who share certain values with you to make you understand, what do you think I can do differently? Just seek out for help. Because right now help is there. And help is even free because it's online. Yeah. On a daily basis, I listen to people in business talk about how much they failed. Others who slept in their vehicles, others who were auctioned. That's part of what business is. But if you make the decision, there is only one plan. Plan to win. Yeah. And plan B is to win again. Yeah. So the decision is very important because it makes you very focused. I have been offered positions before. I don't even want to know what you want to pay me because I am definitely, this is my dream and it has to come true.
And you speak a lot about values. So just to help us understand, what are these things that drive Monica? When you talk about values, you want people who have similar values to you. What are some of these things that you look out for in somebody if you're saying, I want you to either work for me or to come into partnership with me, or, your mentors, your coach? What are these things that you would say, maybe 2 or 3 of them?
I would say honesty, honesty. And I've been lucky to walk the journey with people who are telling me you're failing, and I am disappointed that you have decided you want to take that route. I've also worked with people who are not, who are genuine with me, and they'll be able to, because when I call you in to help me, and you're able to see the challenges I have, and you can see that you can take advantage of me, but you know, you want to be my friend and you want to be able to support me. So I would say honesty, people who are genuine, people who are hardworking. I think this can only work when you're hardworking. Particular about time as a value. Yeah, I'm particular about communication. Yeah, if this is not working, let's understand why it's not working. I'm also particular about relationships. How do you treat people? How do you treat your suppliers? How do you treat your employees? How do you treat anyone you come across? Those are important things. Those are things that make me drawn to you. It's just like friendship. Even people in business, you're drawn to them. I'll tell you this, even on the HR front. The organizations, I would not want them to reach me to help them because of the values they hold, because I'm very passionate. We talk about recruitment. I want to recruit for organizations that want to treat their employees right, because then the employees will stay. But if I know that you treat employees wrong, I don't want to be part of that process that brings in somebody to be mistreated. So I want people who are fair, who are fair, who are supportive, and who are hardworking. Yeah. And even for friends, I want to be able to support you, and I want you to support me. And I would say this because a lot of the business I get is through referrals. And if you went and had a difficult situation with somebody, you need to rise above certain situations and be able to make sure that that relationship has concluded amicably, even if it means you come out with nothing. And I've also worked with people who come to you and they don't expect to pay for your services. Yeah, because they're either friends or they think this service, it sounds like you read it from a book, but it's experience you've gained over time. But I've also been lucky over time, and I would say this, I've actually been very lucky. Either it's because of my intuition about people, I've been lucky that I've worked with organizations that see value in the services we provide and see value in some of the advice that we give them.
So where do you see the Monica Wareham group, if I may use that term, in the next 5, 10 years? Or how do you see this story, panning out for you, the businesses you do, and your legacy, so to speak?
I told you I read about business, global businesses. I mean, the founders of certain brands that are still there today when they have been gone for a long time. I would want to see that happen. I would want to see if it's Reads Africa grow to become a HR firm that is in, very many countries in Africa and even beyond. I want to be able to attract people to the brand and say, I want to work for this company. I want to be able to see values, like when an intern comes and grows in your company to the level of a manager. I want to see that. I want to see that value that the companies are bringing to people. Yeah, that's what I want to. Yeah, and I know this is also an area I like to talk about, succession. A lot of people start businesses, but their children don't pick up on those businesses, and perhaps it's the way they are sold to them. Because my first employer was my father. I was working 7 to 7, and perhaps that's why I ran off and I decided I don't want to work with you. I want to get employed and get those fancy jobs that you leave at 4:30. But I want to see an environment where businesses, African or Kenyan businesses, are moving from the founder to 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation, and the brands are growing. That's what I would want to see. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Monica, for speaking to us this morning.
My pleasure.
It is evident the passion you have for what you do, and now I can see why you go in every day and go back and do what you do. Thank you for sharing your story about your resilience, your experience through the 20+ years. The fact that it is okay to start and fail and keep picking yourself up every day and come back. And I hope your experience will inspire more and more entrepreneurs to keep at it, even when the times are hard.
No, I can promise failure. That is definitely going to be, but it just depends on how you look at it. Yeah, if you look at it as a thing that stops you, then definitely you'll stop. But I'm always open to having conversations with people. Yeah, pull me back, ask me, hey, how is this? How is this? And I'll give you my very stories that can drive you to tears. Yes, that you've had to go through. I've had to go through. Yeah, but I would still do it all over again. Yeah, but thank you so much for having me.
So Monica, what impact do you hope to have as a person and as an organization with the businesses you're doing over the next 5 to 10 years?
First of all, this initiative is very, very good. I should have said that from the beginning. Because when I said in the beginning there were no mentors for some of us when we were starting out. Seeing that mentorship start from university level, college level, even high school level, even those who won't even proceed to higher education. Yes. Just that mentorship, because business is not as complex as it looks to most people. Yes. So what I would want to see, because I see a lot of unemployment, what I would want to see is people looking at that as an option. And even me volunteering myself to say, let me mentor somebody. Let me just walk you through. If you've made the decision, like I said, first make that decision. Yes. Come to me, let's talk about it. And even having these sort of forums and encouraging people where to find that material to read or who to talk to. I will mentor someone who is in the same line of business as me. And I'm actually doing it. You want to get into consultancy? I'll tell you. HR consultancy, this is it. This is how it looks. These are some of the things I did and they were successful. Go for it. Call me if you need me for anything. So I'm happy to be able to provide people that sort of support. And now seeing people grow from what I have been able to, what I've been able to provide as advice.
Where can we find you? If you're an entrepreneur out there looking for someone who can talk to or someone who can help you in the industry, where can we find Monica?
So I can mention the names of the company. There is Reeds Africa Consult, that's a HR firm. Yes. There is Areva Africa, that's the firm that does corporate ringtones, bulk SMSs. Yes. Casten Enterprises does M-Pesa and supplies stationery and promotional items. There is Mjobo. Mjobo is pretty easy, mjobo.co.ke. That's where you go and subscribe, and you can actually be able to see the jobs that are available and, start on your journey of getting employed.
Yeah, so there you have it, entrepreneurs. Monica Wareham, who's running many businesses, a serial entrepreneur. She's talked to us about the value of resilience, the value of having a passion, and many other lessons we can learn from her. So join us next time on another series from the MGK Foundation. Thank you.